I've been on a long grind.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode on FS Interviews. I'm your host Daniel. Before I start, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Today I'm joined with an ex-football player, ex-Chelsea, Manchester City, West Ham and Southampton left back. Arsenal fans might remember him for his famous goal in 2004. Please welcome our guest, Wayne Bridge. Wayne, how are you doing?
Good, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have ex-pros come on. Before I start, just wanted to know, how are you doing? How are you keeping up during COVID? Because it is a difficult time for most people.
Yeah, it's tough for everyone in different ways. Obviously, there's a lot of people worse off than what we are. So it's just, I think everyone's struggling a bit more mentally as well through this. And obviously it's affecting so many people's lives and livelihoods, and it's just tough really when you look at it. And obviously people have it a lot tougher than what we've got it at the moment. It's just trying to stay positive. I think everyone has their ups and down days through it, and as a family we cheer each other up a little bit. So everyone goes through a down moment and just pick each other up.
Yeah, 100%. I could say the exact same. Like, you just go through up periods and down periods. How have you been keeping yourself busy?
Homeschooling. Literally, you spend all day homeschooling. By the time it gets to 3 o'clock, you just lay on the sofa and it's like, yeah, you know, we play a few games with the kids, board games, and keep ourselves entertained. But you know, once you've done that for a few months, it just becomes that the kids get bored, want to do something different. They miss their friends a lot. So I think it's going to be crazy once we all do get back to a little bit of normality.
Yeah, hopefully that's soon, but you never know because the government. Yeah, exactly.
Never know.
I just thought with this interview, the best place to start would be at the start of your career. You started your career at Southampton, a club that you supported. Tell us all about that, how it was breaking into a team that you supported, because I think, like most boys would say that is the dream, to play for the team they've supported.
It's a massive dream. You know, I remember the debut. Didn't think I'd even be on the bench, to be honest. But it is a dream come true. You know, I was playing with the likes of Matthew Letizia, who I grew up watching, who was absolutely unbelievable football player. And I think it was the fact that my dad supported Southampton. He's a mad Southampton fan, always has been, followed them around for years. My cousins, you know, all my friends where I grew up, they're all Southampton fans. So it was seeing the enjoyment and the excitement on their face as well, and the emotion. I think my dad might have had tears. My cousin was crying. So it was emotional. And yeah, when I look back, it was one of them. I was absolutely buzzing, but it's where the hard work starts, really. You know, you get a taster of it, and you've got to get your head down and carry on.
Yeah, that's understandable. And you mentioned Matt Letizia. I'm young, and he was before my time. So I've only seen YouTube videos, his famous goals. But how was it actually training with him on a day-to-day basis? Was he as good as you saw on TV?
Yeah, massively. Like, I have this thing, and you know, I'm sure you know Xavi from Barcelona. He said he was his favourite player. He used to love watching him and stuff. So that goes to show how good he was. I think he just had this ability to put the ball wherever he wanted it. You know, if you see a player shoot from distance and it goes in the top corner, I think with him, you know, some people say it's a bit of luck, he's just hit it and it's gone there. But with him, he'd just pick his spot and he'd put it there. You know, he got a goal of the season where he beat a couple of players in the middle of the pitch and lobbed Tim Flowers from about 35, 40 yards. He said he was practicing that in training. Those are the kind of things he would practice. He was just crazy, some of the things he did with the ball. I remember he played an England B game, and it was just before the World Cup in 1996. He scored a hat-trick, hit the crossbar, and he still never went to a tournament. Where I think if you do that and you don't go to a tournament, it's never going to happen. I think he was a bit gutted about that, because obviously Glenn Hoddle was the manager. He loved Glenn Hoddle as a player. So I think he was a bit gutted about that. And I think I was a little bit, to be aware, and I look back and I think if you had a player like that in the team in a World Cup, even if you put him on for 20 minutes, he could just have that little bit of magic and just score a goal. I think he should have gone to a World Cup, definitely, 100%. And I think that year it might have been a different outcome. They talk about Gaza. Obviously, he was a great player. I just think Matt Letizia is up there with him. I think he was unbelievable.
That's huge praise, and I'm not surprised you said that because I've been having a lot of debates with my friends about can a player be world class without winning a trophy, and the player that everyone always mentions is Matt Letizia. So that just shows how good he is.
Yeah, I think he's probably made this comment himself. He was a big fish. He was a big fish in a small pond, but all credit to him. He stayed there all his life. The fans love him. He's still down there. He's always around the stadium. He's loved massively. I don't know if he does regret going or not. I don't think he does. I think he loved his time down there. He loved his career. Fair play to him, to be honest. And it's true. I think they give him the freedom of the city. He just goes down there and does what he wants, basically.
And how about you? How was your time at Southampton? Because you did have some success. You finished quite high up in the Premier League. You reached the FA Cup final. How did you enjoy your time playing for Southampton?
When I look back, it was probably my favourite part of my career. I was young. I just took everything in my stride. I think the older you get, I know you can become more confident and more relaxed. But while I was a kid there, I'm just going to go out and play. Never really thought too much about anything. So I just loved it. And then I was surrounded by great teammates as well. And obviously, I'm a homeboy. I loved being at home. I was still seeing all my friends from school. At a young age, making my debut at 18. I just go home every day. I'd still see all my normal friends, which was great. Kept my feet firmly on the ground, and it was great to see them all buzzing about it and everything. And it was just great. And it's my family supported, and my dad My dad went to every single game, never missed a game in my career. Home, away, international. So just to play for the team that he supported was just. It's meant a lot to me, and I'm glad I've given him some good memories there. Played under some amazing managers there as well. Glenn Hoddle, probably one of the best, if not the best, I played under. Strachan. I look back at my teammates, just good memories, to be honest. I don't think I could pick one. You just have so many good memories.
And what was it about Glenn Hoddle that made him your favourite manager? Because we've heard that about Glenn Hoddle as well. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. When people talk about great managers, they hardly talk about Glenn Hoddle. But when I talk with some people in the game, they're always complimentary about him. What was it about him that made him so special?
Yeah, he's just definitely one of the best. There's only one criticism I would have of him was not taking Matt Letizia to the 1996 World Cup. It was just tactically, I thought it was really good when he come along to Southampton. The way he had us playing, he was tactically aware of the other team. He had us playing 4-3-3 back then, which not a lot of people did. The way he'd want me and the person in front of me to work, he's very detailed in what he did. Set pieces, were always good, and he worked a lot on the mental side of the game as well, which some players brought into it and some players didn't, because that's just the way football was sometimes. It was a little bit macho back then, and no one really wanted to open up that much. But he worked on the mental side of the game, done visualization techniques. If you brought into it, you brought into it. I actually did it. He used to do things where he got the back four together and we'd have a chat, about the game and what we want from each other, which never really happened at any other club that I was at, really. Just he wanted us to be more open with each other and connect with each other a little bit more. And one thing he did pick up on with me, which I didn't know till after my career, he said that I definitely struggled with confidence, and he made sure that all the players around me just kept my head up and just basically really encouraged me in everything that I did because he noticed that I lacked a bit of self-confidence.
And in terms of, because you mentioned you tried to tap into the mental aspect of the game, would you say you listened to it, or you accepted it, or were you part of the people who thought that football was too macho, you didn't want to open up?
I think when we got to the bit where there was, say, he'd split you up, so you'd have the midfield group or the back four or the front two or front three. And then sometimes it would be the left side, so me and the left midfielder, and the left centre back. I think with that, it was kind of, because it was very new to the game back then to work on stuff like that and really talk in depth. And I don't think anyone really brought into it that much, because I think that if there was four of you, there would always be a few of you laughing and joking around. But he stuck with it, and we used this woman for a while, and then he changed, and we got this other guy in called John Sire, who was quite good. I think he just stuck with it and he kept going. I think the more that we did it, the better it probably got. We didn't mess around in it no more. We kind of took it serious. And with the visualization techniques, I did it. And I know Matt Oakley did it. I can't remember who else was doing it. Just visualization techniques of, visualize yourself playing football, playing well. I know, and I'm pretty sure he used to do it, was Didier Drogba, who probably just sat there and visualized himself scoring goals all the time. It's a technique that a lot of sportsmen have used, and you kind of go into a bit of a meditation. I used to do it the morning of the game, and I'd go into the room with the guy and we do some breathing techniques, and then we'd imagine kick off, the ball coming to me, and we making some good passes, some tackles, putting crosses into the box. And I did play some of my best football then, probably.
You said you played some of your best football then. You said looking back, it was the best moments of your careers, always seeing your parents happy, your friends happy. Why did you leave Southampton for Chelsea? Like, what was going through your mind to leave? Or did you see it as an opportunity too big to pass?
Well, you do obviously want to win trophies. You do obviously want to get paid more money as well. But football is probably the most important thing. I think the thing with Southampton was they were always a selling club, and it wasn't easy decision for me to go. And in terms of, I wanted a new contract. One, because I thought I deserved it, but Southampton were never going to give me as a young player a good contract to kind of up there with some of the higher paid players in the club, whereas I thought I deserved it. Playing for England, I was playing well, and Southampton were very happy to just take the money and let me go, really. They didn't really put up a fight for me to stay. They were just like, we've been offered £7.5 million, you can go. I think Gordon Strachan was fighting for me to stay. And when I look back, obviously, I think it was 100% the right decision in terms of going to Chelsea, getting to win some trophies, playing with some amazing players. But also that team that I did play for at Southampton wasn't getting any younger, and they kind of dropped down a couple of divisions after that as well. So yeah, I think it was definitely the right decision for me personally. But I probably would have stayed if they had offered me a better contract.
Wow, that's incredible, because obviously you went to Chelsea at the start of you could say dominance of English football when they started to win trophies. When you first got to Chelsea, did you feel any sign of this team can actually do something special, or was it a surprise to you as well?
No, I think you expect you're going to do something special with the type of players that were signed, all top class players. I think it just goes to show that it's a process that doesn't happen just like that. You don't sign a load of players, and then all of a sudden you just go and win the league. So they've got to gel together. Moving clubs isn't always easy. Some people can just hit the ground running, but it's, you get used to playing with a team. That team knows all your movements, all the runs you're going to make all the time. And you kind of just get to know each other, and they're always going to be there. They know they're always going to make that run. And then you go to a new team and they just play totally different. So it does take time. I did think we were going to go on to do something or win something just because of the quality players we had. So I did think it would happen. I didn't think it would. Well, I didn't even think that far ahead that they were going to go on to be as big as what they were, though.
Yeah, I don't think, when I started watching football, I thought Chelsea would be this big. Claudio Ranieri, like Glenn Hoddle, in my opinion, is one person that is kind of like the forgotten man. And he was the person who signed you. He was your first manager at Chelsea. What was your experience like with him? Because every time people talk about that Chelsea period, they always talk about Jose Mourinho, but not Claudio Ranieri.
Yeah. It was obviously Jose come in and done well. So, when you talk about Claudio Ranieri at Chelsea, it does kind of get forgotten. I thought it was probably a bit harsh, but then obviously I think everyone can see what Chelsea is like now. Unless you just go and win something, you're out. But would Claudio maybe have won the league the year after? There was definitely a chance he could have. Obviously, Mourinho did have a lot of players to the team. I liked Claudio. I thought he was a great guy. He was a good manager. There's times where I used to probably get a little bit annoyed because he would make players rest. You'd come into training, you'd feel good, but I think it was like an Italian way. The kind of training you would do, wouldn't let you overtrain, but I had loads of energy. I wanted to train. He'd be like, no, you rest. Or, we used to have blood tests and say, if your blood's not right, you're going to have a rest today, have the day off. But I just enjoyed it. We had a good group of lads. I think everyone was a little bit gutted when he got the sack, and I always feel a little bit of a letdown for that manager getting the sack as well, because as players you have to take responsibility. There's just games where we threw it away and we could have won trophies, and kind of wish we had for him, really.
That's understandable, and I feel like maybe the current Chelsea crop are going through that at the moment, because Frank Lampard has only been there 18 months, and he just got sacked, and it's a bit cutthroat. Before I get on to Jose Mourinho, we can't talk about your time under Claudio Ranieri without mentioning that goal against Arsenal. How was the whole build-up to that game? Because you're playing against a team who, at that point, hadn't lost a game in the league. I don't think Chelsea had beaten Arsenal for a while in the Champions League quarterfinals, and you're playing them at the home. How's the feeling of playing them, then scoring the winner?
It's a pretty good feeling. One of the best feelings I've had during my football career. It's one of them. It's you're playing against the team that's at the top. No one really likes that top team. You always want to beat them. And I think with the players we had, we always thought we were capable of it. And everyone talks about it was a turning point since then. Obviously, Arsenal went downhill. But it was a buzz. It was always a buzz wherever you played them, in the league or in a cup game, because they were just, they were the best team at the time. And it was just an absolute buzz. I didn't know what I was going to do when I scored, because I never really score, and I just ran straight over to the crowd. But I look back at that game, and it was a great achievement to beat them. Buzzing for myself to get the goal. We just threw it away the game after against Monaco. I think that's when Claudio, made some substitutions or dropped a few players for the game, which is a bit strange. I think that's what a lot of people couldn't handle at Chelsea when they called him the Tinker Man, because he tinkered too much. But I think we threw it away in the away game in Monaco. So when I look back at that, I see the good, but I also see the bad, because we threw it away a few weeks later.
I think that's such a professional football player thing to do, because every time I listen to podcasts of football players and you ask them about the good moments, they always quickly mention the bad moments. But I guess that's why you made it and we didn't.
Yeah, probably everyone does. I know what you mean.
When Jose Mourinho came in, we were all wild. Like a guy's coming in saying that he's a special one. But how was it within the dressing room when he came in? Could you see a sudden difference between him and Claudio Ranieri? And when he came in, did you think, okay, we can actually win the league under this manager?
I didn't think we thought, oh, we can actually win the league. I thought just because of him, I think we would have thought we could win the league anyway with the players we had. But his training was brilliant. Pre-season training, there was no running. If there was any running, it always involved the ball. Just the intensity of training, he demanded intensity straight away during all training sessions. So everyone was switched on and had to be ready all training. No one was ever relaxed, and everyone was always on their toes. Everything had to be sharp, quick. He demanded that. So training was really good under Mourinho. I thought it was always good fun, enjoyable, but hard and intense at the same time. And he definitely as well, I think formation-wise, added a little bit, about how he wanted you to play. He'd give you ideas, but he's also, at the end of the day, you've got to make the decision as well. Like as a left back, you've got here, you can go there, you can go here, but it's your decision. Play it how you see. He just give you lots of options really as you were playing in different formations.
And how would you say your relationship was with Mourinho compared to Ranieri and Glenn Hoddle? Would you say it was good, or would you say it was up and down?
Up and down, yeah, like a yo-yo. It was mainly because he probably wanted me to play better or thought I was better. So I definitely went for a tough spell with him. There's a bit of spell where I didn't think I was doing wrong, but he wasn't happy, and in the end I didn't really get what he wanted from me. Got dragged off at half time during a game. Didn't even think I played that bad. I thought the whole team was bad, but I was the one who got dragged off. So I thought it was harsh. Situations like that, and I don't know if he was looking for a reaction, but sometimes I thought I didn't have a clue what he was wanting from me. And I did turn a corner with him, and I started playing more. And it was probably the first time that he was very complimentary of me, giving me a pat on the back. And it was just before I broke my leg, and we had Barcelona coming up afterwards. And I remember getting off the bus, and he said, "You've been brilliant. Make sure you're ready. Got these Barcelona games coming up." So he's basically saying, you're back in, you'll be playing. And then I went and broke my leg. And then after that, it all just changed really.
And how was it being out injured? Because obviously you're out injured and your teammates are winning trophies. Did you still feel happy that you won the trophies that you went to Chelsea for, or was it a bit of regret in your mind that you weren't actually on the pitch to actually win those trophies?
Yeah, so I got the Premier League medal because I'd played enough games. But yeah, it's one of them that I've got a Premier League medal, but I didn't feel I want to be one of them players that plays 35 games a season, 30 games a season, not 15, and get a medal. Although I was injured for the last third of it, might have played a few more games, but still, it didn't really feel like my medal because I would have liked to play more games. I remember the cup game they won. I was in hospital still at the time, and the lads, when Mourinho called me from the bus, saying that was for you and cheering down the phone, I got a bit emotional when he done that, to be honest. I was obviously buzzing for the lads, but I was obviously gutted I wasn't there. Really appreciated the phone call that I got from the team bus and everything. But I didn't really know where my career was going to go, because when I had the operation, I remember before I went in, the doctor was basically saying, not the doctor, but the surgeon said, I'm not sure if he'd get back playing football again. So it was one of them. I didn't know what was going to happen. I know the doctors probably say that and the surgeons say that it's their worst case scenario, but it was quite a nasty injury. I don't think people realise I basically broke my leg, broke my ankle in half and dislocated it. So it was a real nasty one. So I think it's all credit to myself, but I think massively to the Chelsea physio staff and, you know, Roman, everyone at Chelsea basically gave me the best treatment, sent me away to the best rehab places and stuff, that got me back playing again.
And would you say that injury completely changed your career? Would you say like you could split your career into like pre-injury and after injury, like your intensity, your fitness levels?
I don't think my fitness levels. I struggled with movement in my leg, but I got back playing. I think I come back. I've done it in February, and I was in pre-season and I started to train, which is quite quick for back then for the injury that I had. But I remember, you know, you're in training, you're playing against the best in the world still, playing against Joe Cole or Arjen Robben, and you know, it's like when you're coming back from a broken ankle and you're struggling with movement, and then people are running at you. It felt difficult, and it took me a while to get back. I don't think I played many games at all. I know the manager was worried about my ankle because I had a lot of issues. I know I was back training pre-season, but there was a lot of issues, a lot of coming out of training, a lot of injections. My ankle doesn't move as well. I had a lot of foot problems as well. And then I had to go out on loan, really, because otherwise I wouldn't have got back into the England team. But I ended up going back out on loan to Fulham and still got into the England team, which was great. You know, and I probably, I don't know, I was just so happy to get back playing, I guess, because there was a chance that I might not get back. And, you know, I ended up with another 2 contracts from Chelsea after I broke my leg. So I did come back pretty well considering what the injury was, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Well, to get into the England team after an injury is always a great achievement.
Yeah.
You mentioned quite a couple of times that you thought Chelsea could win the league or win trophies because of the players that they had. Which players would you say during your time at Chelsea really stood out to you?
Oh my God, there's too many. I think you have to say Lampard just because of the amount of goals he scored. I try and not name too many because I'll end up naming about 20 players. I think Arjen Robben, when he just burst onto the scene. I remember a goal against Newcastle, bit 5 players and stuck it in the bottom corner. He was brilliant. Marcel Desailly was just a great character. Obviously achieved so much in the game. He was amazing to be around. Claude Makelele massively stands out for me, and probably Didier Drogba. Just, you know, again, he took time for his Chelsea career to take off, but when it did, you could just count on him week in, week out, just to bang a few goals in. And I want to give a mention to the goalies, really. Carlo Cudicini was amazing. So for Peter Cech to come along, and you'd be a little bit like, wow, he's even better. And it's you know, some special players, and there's so many more I can mention. You know, all the English lads, Joe Cole. You know, there's loads. There's just so many.
Yeah, that team was really star-studded. Like, if you could even get a goal against Chelsea back in the day, that was an achievement. So,
they talk about Mourinho now being so like defence-minded. I didn't really notice it at Chelsea. I thought we were always organised, but I thought attacking-wise we were always a threat. I didn't really feel like we were just, especially in my time now, I didn't ever feel like we were boring or anything like that.
Definitely not. Chelsea, the only people who would say Chelsea were boring were probably rival fans because Chelsea were always winning. So it was annoying. You needed a dig at Chelsea.
Yeah.
With the early Chelsea team, there's quite a few parallels between the team you went into and the team now. A lot of new players coming in. It takes a while for them to gel. You said it took a while for Didier to get going. It's taken a while for Timo Werner to get going. Do you think Chelsea made the right decision with sacking Frank Lampard? Because some people are saying it was a bit harsh, or are you not surprised because of how cutthroat Chelsea are?
I don't think anyone is surprised, and I don't think Lamps is surprised. I think everyone's a little bit gutted, a little bit annoyed, especially I think with the run-in that Chelsea had coming up. They're either smart, because I think if they get the new manager now, we've got Wolves, Burnley, Tottenham, Sheffield United. If take Tottenham out of the equation, and then they're going through a bad spell. The other three teams aren't in great form. They're near the bottom of the league. I think they're all winnable games. So it's smart in terms of getting a manager in who could probably go and win them games. The team could possibly go win, so they can say it was the right decision. I think Lampard's obviously a legend at Chelsea, so I thought it would have been nice to just give him a little bit longer. And, we've seen before that it doesn't happen overnight when you sign players. So maybe give him these 4 games. They're winnable games, and you say to him, you've got to win 3 of these games, you'll still be in with a job. You just don't know. You look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at United. Everyone wanted him to get the sack probably 6 weeks ago, and they were sat top of the league for a few weeks, and what are they, second now behind City. So it's a strange season. He could have flipped it around. They drew against Wolves. The new manager wasn't a great performance. I don't think Wolves have been great of late. So, no, I wouldn't have been too happy with that. I think you would want to win against them, and they've just gone and beat Burnley. And you notice the table looks so different already after just 2 games. So, I think everyone's going to forget about Lampard getting the sack soon and be looking at the new manager. But I don't think anyone should just get too excited yet, because they've just beat Burnley. I know they did play well, but don't get too excited yet.
And where do you think Chelsea can finish this season? Do you think they can actually make the top 4, or do you think it's too early to say?
I think it's really early to say. I don't know what the manager is thinking in terms of his favourite team. It might be different to what I would pick. He's brought Alonso into play, where I doubt I would ever play him in front of Chilwell, although Chilwell hasn't played to the best of his ability the last couple of games, I would have said, but still I would have stuck with him. They did play well. He didn't play Mount the first game. I think everyone was in shock of that, and I think him coming on and playing last week, he showed that I think Chelsea do play better with him in the team. Hudson-Odoi's been brilliant. I think even when Lamps was playing, he'd improved. When Lamps was playing him a little bit more, he'd improved, because he is still a young lad, and I've been critical of him before, but he's come back from a big injury, and he's definitely been better this season. And the last few games, I think he's been tremendous. I think they've got a squad there which is capable of being in the top 4. It's just a matter of if the manager can nail down the team, and definitely win or get a result against Tottenham and then Sheffield United, and they're right in the mix. So it's interesting times. You look at the Havertz and Werner, the new signings. It's so much pressure on them, and I know it's probably affecting their game a little bit. I tell you, some people don't hit the ground running, but they'll probably come good because they've got quality. They're going to come good at some stage, you like to think. I went from Southampton to Chelsea, and Chelsea to Man City. I moved just around the country. They've moved a totally different country in difficult times, never had a proper pre-season. So, and they're very young as well. You've got to remember they're still very young, and I'm hoping Werner especially doesn't let the goal thing affect him too much, and hopefully some chances come his way over the next couple of games, and he can stick him in the back of the net, and then they just come rolling in.
It'd be brilliant for him, especially if he could get a winner against like a Spurs or a Sheffield United. That'll boost his confidence. And what you said is so right. Havertz and Werner are still really young players. I think people tend to forget that. They just look at the price tag and forget about their age.
Yeah, I think you got to remember they play in a totally different league as well. I think more with Havertz into the physical side of the game in the Premier League is probably not what he expected. Sometimes you don't get a lot of time on the ball, and a lot of the players are more physical. And this league, from top to bottom, I think I might have heard Pep say it, not maybe this weekend. I've always said it. From top to bottom, there's never an easy game. Especially this season, it looks tough. The teams are always going to be fighting. I look at some of the other divisions in different countries, and there always seems to be an easy game, easy games. They just think they're going to breeze it. But I think in this league, you know, you look at the likes of Sheffield United, they could go out and produce a result against the top team.
They beat
I think that's what's
United the
great
other
about
week.
this league. Yeah, that's what I mean. That they can go and do it. So it's a tough league. I think he might struggle physically, but I wouldn't write him off yet. I like to think he's going to come good.
Me too. I think they'll definitely come good. I just hope they're given the time. I'm happy you mentioned that Pep comment because this has been a debate I've been having with a lot of mates. Pep said there's no easy game, and you said that it's a tough league. Obviously, you played in the Premier League when it was undoubtedly the best league in the world. Would you say the quality and the standard of the Premier League from when you played has increased or dropped from when you played till now? I know that's a tough question, but
it's too much of a tough question because you can look at the way Man City played through the season. You look at the way Liverpool played; they were brilliant. You know, City have been amazing to watch at times. So you know the quality is also there. But if I'd love to go back and I'd love to be playing now to see what the quality was like. It's like when I look at other different generations before us, and they say, "Oh, it was different back then, and he was good, and he would have been better than him." It's so hard to compare the two because it's so different. And I think over the years, I definitely noticed while I was playing, physically, you just had to be better. You know, there was a lot of the drinking culture was still in the game when I was playing, and then it gradually fizzled out. You know, you had to take care of your body more. You know, you started having ice baths more, started doing recovery sessions more, started stretching more. So physically, I think it's I'm not sure if it's got faster, but it's got faster from the generations before me. I'm not sure if it's faster or it's kind of stayed the same. I don't really know, but it's hard because I played with so many good players, played against so many good players that I don't really know. I look some now and I think, oh, I'd be all right playing in this league. I'd be fine. I think I'd be cushy, I think.
You said that football has changed, and I think it has changed the most in your position. Like fullbacks nowadays play like wingers, and sometimes when I see the positions players like Trent, Robertson, Chilwell take up, I'm amazed. Which left back, because that's the position you play, would you say is the best in the Premier League? Or if you don't want to pick the best, who would you say are some of the best left backs in the Premier League at the moment?
There's probably only two that I pick at the moment. I think you can't look past Robertson. Reminds me of myself. Very good. No, he's quick. He's good at defending. He's good at going forward. He's good at a lot of things. I think it's hard to look past him. I know Liverpool have had a bit of a blip form wise, and people have said that about him, but I don't. I think he's brilliant, to be honest. And another one that I'd probably pick out is Luke Shaw. The game they played against Liverpool, I just remember Salah getting the ball and didn't go at him. He just passed it back. And there's only one reason he passed it back is he couldn't get past him. Past him all game. He just had him in his pocket. And you know if you get close enough to a winger and he passes it back, you know you've got him already. Because if he's not going to keep getting at you, you know you've got him. And I think he's been brilliant. I put him in for he's got to be England left back. Current form, Luke Shaw will be England left back. But it'd be between them two. But I'd probably say Robinson just because the way he played last year. And if he is having a little bit of a dip in form, he's still playing well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's maintained a very high standard. You said that you'd be fine in this league. Are there any wingers that you're seeing that you think, yeah, even though they'll be hard to play against, I think I'd do well against them?
No one I'd really love to play against again, but more in my prime would be Mahrez, because I played against him when I was at Reading, which is my last year of my career, and he was at Leicester, and he twisted me inside and out. And I played the year before for Brighton. I had a lot of injections in my hip. I had a slight knee issue, but nothing crazy at all. I'd had quite a few knee operations, and I went to Reading. I just really struggled with movement, changes of direction. I ended up retiring because of my knee during that season. And it was one of them. I thought, he can't be that good, because I was like, how? And then I was part of it. He's finished. I can't play anymore. I'm getting twisted it up inside and out in a championship. Whereas the year before, I was up playing with a cigar. But I'm glad to see that he's gone on and done well. I wasn't actually that bad. He is a really good player, and he's got the chop in the bag, twisting and turning. But I would have loved to have played against him, a fully fit Wayne Bridge, just to see how I would have done against him.
Well, if you, like you said, are as good as Andrew Robertson, then he would have been in your back pocket.
I'd have been fine then. Yeah.
100%. You mentioned, even though it was in passing, that you played for Man City. Unlike Chelsea, you joined Man City when the new owners came and when they were just about to start dominating English football. Did you sense that they could go on to achieve what Chelsea did, or were you just surprised? Because I remember Sir Alex calling them the noisy neighbours, and my brother, who's a United fan, just said that at the moment it's United who are the noisy neighbours.
At the time, I obviously knew they were probably going to sign a lot of players, and like Chelsea, it would have been a process. Going from Southampton to Chelsea, you notice the difference. And I noticed the difference going from Chelsea to Man City. They weren't on Chelsea's level. We still had some great players, but as a team, just weren't on Chelsea's level. Obviously got to that level, but when I first went there, we're definitely nowhere near what Chelsea were. I found it quite tough because we played in a Chelsea team. Although we had some really great wingers going forward, every single player in that Chelsea team, well, most of them, would help you out defensively and work hard off the ball as well. Whereas I had Robinho in front of me. So Robinho was like, once he had the ball at his feet, yeah, he'd be great. But when he didn't, you didn't get much help from him. Loved him, great player, great guy. But it's really difficult for me because my job really was then just defending, and part of my game was getting up and down. And it really just, I didn't really click for me at the beginning. I didn't play great. Dan O'Cage didn't play great.
You mentioned there was some wingers at Chelsea who didn't help you defensively. Which ones?
Oh no, it's Robinho. It never helps me at Man City really.
Okay.
In terms of the wingers, do you know what? Joe Cole, he always had a good work rate. Damien Duff had a good work rate. Even Robin had a good work rate, to be honest. Trying to think of other players.
Does Sean Wright-Phillips ever play on your wing, or was he mostly
Sean Wright-Phillips, he'd go to and from, but he was another one that would work hard off the ball. I think that was one thing that Chelsea had, was closing down well as a team and helping each other out. But obviously, I was a left-back, so I never wanted them to be defending too much. So if I overlapped, I always sprinted back to make sure they could stay up longer. But yeah, no, I can't really pick anyone that never really pulled their weight at Chelsea, to be honest. Defensive, I thought everyone was great. Yeah, as a team set up defensively, I thought we were always brilliant.
That's probably why Chelsea didn't concede many goals, to be fair.
Yeah, probably. We had Peter Cech.
Yeah, he was an incredible goalkeeper. Like, again, scoring past him was an impossible task.
Yeah.
When you went on international duty, obviously you played against players from all around the world. Would you say there was a particular player you played against in international duty, and maybe even in the Champions League, that you'd say, okay, he was the best player I've played against? That was a hard 90 minutes.
I don't know if I sat down and thought about it longer and I went through all my games, if I'd be able to pick someone out, maybe. But sitting just thinking now, there is no one that really stands out. Cafu is a player I've played against who I thought was absolutely brilliant. Obviously, he was a right back, but he always bummed forwards. He was brilliant. He was intelligent. He was quick. He was powerful. He was older than me as well. Great career. Everyone knows how amazing he is. He was brilliant. There's the likes of Thierry Henry. I never really come up against him that much. He was always on over the other side. The players that stand up, not even international level or European level, that stand out for me, who I had a difficult time, would be Sean Wright-Phillips and Aaron Lennon. Very small and just really quick over 5 yards. I was a quick player, but them two were just so quick over 5 yards, and they changed the direction. Even with Sean and Aaron, if you ever kicked them and they went down, it was like they were a rubber ball. They just bounced straight back up and just kept going. So they're always the two players I would pick out, because you had to be switched on the whole time. You couldn't. I was quick, so I thought I could always recover quite well. But with them two, if you give them too much time, too much space, they knock it and they've gone. They just need that. You give them that 1 yard and they've gone. You can't catch them.
To be fair, you could say there's quite a few players like that in the Premier League at the moment. Like Raheem Sterling fits the mold you're talking about. Players who are short, strong, and just quick over 5 yards. And you see players like them, when they play against a lot of fullbacks, they do tend to struggle.
Yeah. I would love to play against him to see what how I'd do against him. To be honest, he's obviously done great, but I think I'm better than some of the fullbacks that are out there. So I might do all right.
You said you're better than some of the fullbacks that are out there. And one thing that I've noticed with football, not just like fullback, it's as if the art of defending has gone or is leaving football. Why do you think that is? Because when I started watching football, we had defenders, not just in the Premier League, like Nesta, Maldini, Zambrotta, Carlos Puyol, players who they wanted to defend first. Then when they had the ball, that's when they thought about attacking. Why do you think that is?
I don't really know, really. I guess there's no real. The game has changed, definitely. I reckon some of the tackles back then would be red cards. If you look at some of the challenges now, so I think you have to be very careful in your tackling now as well. It's really hard to say that one, really. Just the quality of players not coming through. But yeah, I think with the game now, you can't get stuck in too much. You can't rattle someone. Rattling someone in the first 5 minutes of a tackle could be a red card.
Yeah.
With some of the tackles that they're doing now, and they're getting red cards for, would have only been a yellow card when we were playing, and a few years before that wouldn't have even been a yellow card. So it's a very different game now. And to be honest, I don't like it as much anymore. I think with VAR's ruined the game a little bit, and get fed up of talking about it, to be honest. I think they should just get rid of it. They've got VAR in to make right decisions, but they still keep making wrong decisions. I'm a bit like, what's the point in having it around?
Ridiculous.
Might as well just get back to just blaming the referee.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean?
I don't know if you saw the game, Aston Villa versus Southampton.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, no, yeah.
Those decisions were ridiculous.
Might as well not have a referee and just everyone watch it on a screen and just press a button or blow a whistle. Like, I just don't get it. I say get rid of it and just get back to reffing the game, and then fans can shout them when they get it wrong.
Yeah, I fully agree, because if you're going to bring in VAR or video assistant ref, you have to make sure that 100% of the decisions are right. And you're seeing like that Aston Villa game, I don't know which defender was it, but he basically saved it with his hand and it wasn't a penalty. And I'm just thinking, how can you do that?
It's just crazy. I don't believe in it at all. The game has changed loads, so it's really hard to compare players as well.
When you watch football now, do you still watch it as a Southampton fan, or would you say your allegiance to Southampton has kind of faded away because of the many teams you played for?
No, I always want whoever I played for to do well.
Okay.
I loved even Brighton. I loved my time at Brighton. It was a great year for me there, buzzing there in the Premier League. always want Southampton to do well. I grew up supporting them. All my friends support them. I think if I still lived down there, I'd probably be going to the games. I don't go to many games at all. But if I lived down in Southampton, I probably would be going to the games. But I'd probably have to lean towards Chelsea and Southampton and Chelsea in terms of who I'd look out for more. Just because I spent more of my time there and had better times there, I'd say. But even Fulham, I had 6 months at Fulham, so I'm buzzing that they're in the Premier League. I had good times there as well. I had a good 6 months there. But yeah, Southampton and Chelsea are probably ones I lean to the most, just because I had better times there, really.
And what's your feeling with Southampton at the moment? Because they're doing quite a good job at the minute. They don't spend a lot of money, but every game they play, they always make it competitive, and they have a right good manager at the helm.
Well, I definitely think they pay a lot more money than what they used to, so they've kept hold of players longer, but they're still a selling club. I think if the money comes along, there's going to be other clubs out there that are going to give that player more in wages, so that player's always going to go. So they're always going to be a bit of a selling club, but they're not as much of a selling club as what they used to be. I think the manager, obviously, since the 9-0 at Leicester, I can't even remember when that was now. But, since then, there was people saying he's going to get the sack, and he's just turned it around massively, I think. I've watched a couple of games where I thought they pressed really well. They haven't given teams time on the ball. So he's done really well. I think everyone's buzzing with him.
Yeah, they have a lot of intense players, and I feel like they even have some English players, like with Matt Letizia, that I feel that if Southgate doesn't pick them, it might come back to hurt him. Players like Danny Ings, James Ward-Prowse, they might not start, but bringing James Ward-Prowse for the last 20 minutes with his delivery, or Danny Ings, Fox in the box, they could help England win, in my opinion.
Yeah, well,
I know it's hard.
Really, how many England? Are you gonna have to? How many midfielders would he be taking to the World Cup?
Maybe 8, 9 maximum.
You like to think maybe you could squeeze him in there. I do think out of the two, his delivery is probably one of, or if not the best in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But there is so much quality England have in that midfield. So it's not an easy one. I'll ask my mates of Saints fans, they say 100% he should be going. But there is England have a lot of options and a lot of quality midfield wise. So I think it is a tough one. I wouldn't just say no, but he should definitely be in the thoughts of the England manager about trying to get him in there, and then it might come down to it's going to be him or him. Do you know what I mean? It's a tough one, but he is the best. I can't think of anyone else who free kick taker who's as good as him with what he's done this season, and even the last season. His quality is brilliant.
And how about Danny Ings? Because you could say with James Ward-Prowse, there is a lot of competition. But with Danny Ings, in terms of English strikers, apart from Harry Kane, you can't really mention many English strikers who are better than him. Maybe Jamie Vardy, but he's retired from international duty.
He's definitely knocking on the door, 100% knocking on the door. Saints missed him loads when he was injured. But there's talk of him, don't know if it's come from him or agencies or just paper talk about wanting to go to a Champions League club. But, I don't see him as an Aguero or, a Drogba or a Salah, or, I don't see him being that good. He's been great, don't get me wrong, he's been good. So yeah, he's in with a shout as well. Do you know what I mean? He's got to be looked at. I think when you talk about when I see the talk about him going to the Champions League, I'd just like to see him stay at Southampton and carry on with what he's doing and just keep doing it. Because I think if he he's already been at Liverpool. I think if he goes to a top 4 club, I don't think he's going to play as much.
Yeah.
I don't think if he goes to a top 4 club, he's going to be their main striker. So, yeah, for me, I just think he's better off staying where he is.
True, because the level of competition at a top four club is very, very high.
Oh yes, it's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Unless he starts banging in every week and he's scoring a couple. When you got the like, do you know if we went to Man City and there's him and Aguero, you go to Liverpool or even Spurs, he's not going to play. To be fair, Chelsea at the moment he might actually play. To be honest,
True.
they've actually got a number 9, so maybe that's an option. But yeah, I'd like to see him stay there. And Gareth will definitely be looking at him, I would have thought.
Before we end, we had some fan questions for you. I just wanted to ask them to get your answers.
Yeah.
Some of them you've already answered, but the first one was, how great of a player was Ashley Cole? Because you played with him at Chelsea and England. And
Yeah.
We talked about left backs, and every time we ask somebody about left backs, he always gets mentioned because he's probably the best left back I've seen play football.
Yeah. I think, I never really get a mention when they talk about left backs. Everyone talks about Ashley Cole. I think the only mention I got was Lewis R. They asked who was the best left back he's played against, and he said me, which I was pretty happy with. Maybe he's not played against. Maybe he's not played against Ashley. That's why he said me. It was brilliant. Do you know, Ash? It was, every time I went away with England, he always played well. He was always one of England's best players. There was never a time where he wasn't. He was always in, he was either the best or one of the best that game. He was in the top 2 or 3 players during the tournament all the time, if not the best player in the tournament for England. He always played really well. So it was just one of them things, bad timing for me being around the same time. Always went away with England, knew I wasn't going to play. So I didn't really enjoy it that much. I was always just sat on the bench. And when he came to Chelsea, I felt pretty hard done by when he came, in terms of I was actually playing all right for the period leading up to him signing. And if not, I was playing well. And when they signed him, usually you think, right, I signed him, I'm not going to play. But I played because I'd been playing so well. And this is where I thought I was really hard done by, was the game we played, I was still playing really well. If anything, I was really good that game. I think Ash admitted it himself. It was harsh, me getting pulled off. But I think we were winning 1-0 against Charlton. And then I think we ended up conceding a goal. Straight away, I got took off and Ash was put on. I don't think definitely wasn't my fault for the goal. It was probably just, right, need a change, get Bridgie off. We've signed Ash, we're paying loads of money for him, and he is a top quality player. But I knew from that moment then, I wasn't gonna get back in the team. He was the man. Do you know what I mean? They'd got Ash, and he was a great player. I just thought I was pretty hard done by because I was playing so well at the time. But yeah, I can't really fault him. Do you know what I mean? He's quick. I think he was always brilliant against the best wingers in the world. Never given space. He was always tight. He'd always, give them a kick if they needed it. He was good going forward as well. And I don't think there was ever a game where a player would ever get the best of him. Might beat him once or twice, but that would be it. Do you know what I mean? He was always a great player.
Yeah, like I said, best left back I've seen play. Hopefully, because
Yeah.
I'm a Liverpool supporter, hopefully Robertson can surpass him. But I can't
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that
yeah.
happening.
No.
I think that leads on to the next question. As a professional footballer, how did you respond to criticism? Obviously, back then, it might not be as bad as it is now, because now fans can go on Twitter at the players and then criticize them directly. But when you were playing, how did you respond to it? Was it still hard? Maybe your coaches or the pundits or the papers were criticizing you or your teammates.
I'd only ever fall out of a coach if I ever thought that it wasn't deserved criticism. I always know if I played a bad game. I'm not stupid. I know if I played a bad game. Criticism, did I deal with it okay? I dealt with it okay. I'd go into the next game and, once the whistle went, I was fine. I was in the zone and I was playing football. Criticism, I've always just ignored it. I've never really retaliated to it, because most of the time I'd probably be arguing with an idiot anyway. So if I get any now, I don't even bother responding to it, because there's no point. and everyone's entitled to their opinion at the end of the day. And there's like one person might think I was a great, another guy think I was rubbish. Pretty much like me, I might think like I don't really rate Alonso that much at Chelsea, but some people might love him. So everyone's entitled to their opinion, to be honest. And like I said, I'm never going to respond to it unless someone comes and says something to my face, really.
To be fair, that's the best thing. Like you said, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. There's no point of responding to everything, otherwise you'll go crazy. And the final question is, how crucial is individual and squad fitness at the top level of football? Because I think some people might underestimate it.
It's massive, and it also depends on the team you're playing in. For instance, at Southampton, when we had Gordon Strachan, we were a running team. The whole team was fit. I was fitter than some of the players, and everyone does have different fitnesses, but every player had a certain fitness to be able to keep running, because we never had the ball all the time. Weren't a player that were going to have all the possession, so we would non-stop keep running. We always used to look at the stats at the end of the game, and they would be really high. And that's with Strachan, how we still were probably 10th in the league or something like that. We were probably hovering around the top half, middle, floating into the top sometime, top half, like 6th, 7th, 8th. And that was because we had some quality, but we could still run, and we would compete. We'd always be competing, and we'd never get walked over. And so I think individually you definitely need it, but as a team, you've got to have it as a team as well. There's no good half a team running around and the other half not. And you see the intensity of some of the top teams where they lose the ball. If you watch the front three, sometimes they lose it, and if it's the right time and they get a call from the people behind them to go and press that on it, they press. They're just at real quick pressing. I think a team that I noticed, everyone used to notice, it was Barcelona. They used to press from the front as soon as they lost the ball. Just get on them straight away, get that ball back. That's team fitness. You've all got to be working on that, because if you get one player that's just sloppy and can't do it, it just kills it, because they can get out easy, one or two passes and they're out the other side.
Yeah, and I've noticed that with a lot of teams in the Premier League, Liverpool, Man City on the Pep. As soon as they lose the ball, they're on it straight away, and I think that's why they're near the top of the table most times.
100%. Yeah.
But Wayne, really appreciate taking your time to talk to me.
Cheers, mate.
Guys, this has been another interview. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
もう堂々と